Number 4, Penn State surviving Minnesota 26-25. Let's go over the 5 highest grade players, starting off with the Nittany Lions. Highest grade player, of course, Tyler Warren, tight end, 84.3. Dominic DeLuca, the linebacker, 77.6. Devon J. Thomas, the defensive tackle, 72.1. Nicholas Singleton, the running back, 70.8. Sal Wormley, the offensive guard, 69.7. And Drew Allar with a 78 grade against Minnesota. Let's go over to the Golden Gophers with their highest grade players. Our guy, Ariante Ursary, 77.4 grade, currently a top 20 prospect on PFF's big board. We have an interview with him as well if you want to check it out. He's a really, really awesome guy. But highest graded player in that loss for Minnesota. Wide receiver Daniel Jackson, 77.1. Edge defender Anthony Smith, 76.6. Marcus Major, the running back, 73.4. Ja Joyner, the edge defender, 71.7. And Max Brosmer with a 57.5 grade. Dawn, for you, what was that the whole story?
Penn State is very hard to beat. You know, they go through stretches offensively where it's not great. It might not be that explosive, and we've seen him get off the slow starts. And then there's other times where the defense kind of looks like, you know, what are we doing out here? But I'll tell you what they don't do. They don't give you anything, right? And if you're going to go and beat Penn State, you just have to beat them.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at this Penn State, this game, it was ugly. They were down 19-16 at half. They're coming off a blocked extra point. They got the return for 2 points. Minnesota was grooving pretty good on offense. Max Brosmer getting it done, especially in the passing game. Daniel Jackson was awesome in this game. I mean,
he's really
some
good
of the
player.
tough catches he was making was just terrific stuff. But Penn State, no turnovers. That's a theme with them. They haven't turned the ball over in their last 2 games, and they rarely, I think only once this season, that they've had multiple turnovers. Maybe twice. I think actually the West Virginia game too. But rarely do they turn the ball over a lot, and they didn't in this game again. 2 penalties for 10 yards, both offsides on defense. Not a single offensive penalty called on them in this game. And then I want to go their last 5 drives. Okay, the last drive of the first half where they did score the touchdown, and then only 4 drives in the second half because this game really sped up in the second half. 36 plays they ran. Only 3 of them were negative. Only 3 of them lost yardage. They, if nothing else offensively, again, they go through stretches where it's a little ugly, but they don't give you anything. And Drew Allar doesn't give you anything at all. If you're going to beat Penn State, you have to find a way to force the issue, kind of like USC did in the first half with a couple interceptions, or, you know, Ohio State making the play, you know, on the goal line fade before the end of the first half in that game. But Penn State, if they do nothing else, they have their defense, and offensively they at least play clean football, even if sometimes it takes them some time to get the explosive plays going and even get the running game going.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, Minnesota in the first half was pretty good on the ground, but in the second half, they had no ground game at all. Negative .724 EPA per run in the second half. Listen, like I said, they had a pretty good run game in the first half. They had 19 points going into the locker room, only 6 points in the second half, and really it was due to the run game. 4.4 yards per carry for Minnesota in the first half, 0.8 yards before contact, 3.6 yards after contact, 4 runs of 10-plus yards. In the second half, they had 22 rushing yards total, 1.5 yards per carry, negative 0.9 yards before contact, and 0 runs of 10-plus yards. So Max Brosmer played a lot better in the second half, but it still couldn't make up for what was a non-existent ground game in the second half. Penn State was very, very fundamentally sound defensively in the run game. They took away rushing lanes. They swarmed to the football as well. The Penn State run defense has been great all year, and the front 7 has been great all year, honestly, but did a great job in this one of just shutting down that Minnesota run game and making Max Brosmer beat them down the field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I told you they were going to get a scare in this game. This was not going to be easy because Minnesota's got a good defense, and it's a tough road environment to go into. And Brosmer he'd been really rolling recently, especially over the last month or so. So I think Penn State, a little adversity here, but they found a way to do it. I'll just go to the most impressive. For me, I'm going to take Drew Allar. I think, as usual, he doesn't get enough credit. And I know it's not flashy. I think he's only got, it's 9 big-time throws and 5 turnover-worthy plays this year. But he just does so well to avoid big mistakes. And he actually had a turnover-worthy play early in this game. That was his first one since week 7.
Wow.
We're in week 13. I mean, he hasn't had a turnover-worthy play in 6. He's got an 87.7 passing grade this season. That's 7th best in college football. I mean, it's not flashy. It's more about he does so well to prevent negatives that we don't have a whole lot of opportunity to downgrade him. He plays really clean football. Could the ball placement be better at times? Sure, but he's efficient and he does what Andy Kotelnicki asks him to do. And I think one of the big things in this game, and actually all season, I think he's used his mobility well all season. Everyone's going to remember the fake punt on 4th and 1 on the last drive. That was a 3rd and 9 right before that where Drew Allar picked up 8 yards on a scramble and darn near had a first down, but he picked up 8. James Franklin's not calling that on 4th and 9 or 4th and 7 or something if it's incomplete or if it's something short. 4th and 1, he has the liberty to call that, and certainly it's a gutsy call. But, everything on this offense is really set up by the fact that Drew Allar, people might want to get on him and criticize him, and he doesn't put up the biggest numbers because he doesn't have a great set of weapons and all that stuff, but he's really efficient, and he doesn't give the ball away. He doesn't lose you ball games, and I think that counts for something.
Listen, I'm going to be a lot higher on him than I think most people will for the 2025 NFL draft, if he declares for the NFL draft. But, yeah, he's been really good. And also not even that 4th and 1. They had a 4th down later on in that drive where they went for it again, and Allar rolled out and found Tyler Warren as well. So great job by him, and great job by Tyler Warren, who just another day at the office, Dalton, for Tyler Warren, who has his sights set on the John Mackey Award, who's obviously the highest graded player for Penn State in this win. With an 84.3 grade, his 4th time above an 80 this year. He caught 8 of his 11 targets for 102 yards with 48 yards after the catch. Like I said, that game-sealing first down as well. 72.6 run blocking grade for Tyler Warren in this game, too. So he's a really good run blocker. He's had 100-plus yards in 4 of his 11 games this year. That's actually a lot for a tight end, right? So
absolutely.
Tyler Warren.
He's second behind Harold Fannin in everything.
Yeah, that might not sound like a lot. 4 of 11, only 100-plus. No, he's balling out this year. So Tyler Warren is dominating for Penn State and making it really hard not to give him the John Mackey Award right now. We'll see what happens with Harold Fannin Jr., the Bowling Green tight end, who had another great game as well. But, yeah, what Tyler Warren has done this year for Penn State has been unbelievable. And listen, he's kind of masked a lot of the deficiencies in that receiving core for Penn State by just being such a dominant player for the Nittany Lions.
And a versatile player, and we've talked about him running the ball. He can do things after the catch. He can do it down the field. The ball, and I know it was after a controversial pass interference penalty late in the second quarter, but the ball that Allar threw him up the seam late in the second quarter that set up that touchdown drive was incredible. Let me get you a stat real quick. I talked in the preview about Minnesota's defense and how good they are covering tight ends. Tyler Warren, you mentioned 102 receiving yards in this game. The next closest tight end with their receiving total against Minnesota was Colston Loveland at 41. And nobody else is over 30. So Colston Loveland had 41 yards on this defense. Nobody else has had 30, and Tyler Warren finds 100. He's working himself into, top 50 conversation in this draft?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Trevor has him as a top 32 prospect on the big board, so maybe a first-round pick. Dude, Andy Reid at the end of the first round, he would love that guy.
He's going to be looking at both of those guys I just mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
For Loveland and Warren. No, Tyler Warren.
You know how creative Andy Reid can get with Tyler Warren, though?
Oh,
it'd be absurd.
He might be just his backup quarterback. Yeah, I mean, no, Warren's he's a freak of nature at this point. He's really the big reason that Penn State's offense can be explosive.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tyler Warren was outstanding in this one for the win for the Nittany Lions. All right. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.